We have a guest in the building. We have Dabota Lawson. She is a former beauty queen and beauty merchant, and also the CEO of makeup studio Dabota on the Cosmetics. Welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me.
Good to have you.
Thank you.
So Dabota, we've been talking about fetish relationships. When you go into a relationship with somebody and then you discover that they have something that they are praying to that's outside Christianity and Islam. You know, and usually most people get scared when they hear or see that kind of thing. And we're having a conversation around it because some are saying these are good people too. You know, they're not doing fetishism onto bad, onto evil. They're actually good people and they also deserve love, and it's wrong for us to judge them. But we're saying that can we date somebody that has those tendencies? Have you had any experience, or what are your thoughts on it?
I've actually not had a personal experience in terms of a relationship, but I've had extended family members that I would consider somewhat fetish, so I avoid them. However, if you're fetish, you're fetish. I won't say being fetish means you have your good, or there's good and there's bad sides. If you have your religious practices, then that's different. So you could have your own way of worship where you maybe tend to pray with water, you tend to pray with salt, or you tend to perform different rituals when you're praying, or like some, I'm a Christian, so some part of Christianity where people will kneel before a statue. But when it comes to being fetish, for me, fetish is just evil. Yes.
So that's one of the reasons I'm having this conversation. Like, so it's hard to see the good in that, in being fetish.
Yeah, so Dabota, I think what we're now asking is, do we say it's evil because the Oyinbo man told us so? Have we really looked at our fetish traditional religion and dissected it enough to give it, that's for us, give it that pronouncement that it's evil?
It's evil.
What do you think?
Like, you know, I said earlier that traditional practices are different from being fetish.
Oh, okay.
So when you're a traditionalist, perhaps, like I said, you have your way of living and you have your belief system, and it's generally accepted within maybe a particular community. But people who are fetish actually practice evil in secret against other people, or maybe to their own advantage. So I would say praying or doing things for somebody's downfall to your own advantage, regardless of you thinking, oh, but they're not my enemy, they didn't offend me, I just want this. And you're using some sort of spiritual means to achieve that. It's fetish, it's not good.
Okay, let's go to the scenario our last caller painted. I'll come to you, BC. Our last caller said that she was dating a guy who in his fridge had a calabash and soap inside. Now, she ran away.
Did you even ask?
Now, fast forward. The guy said, you should have just asked me. Is it possible when she asked him, he said, that was just some kind of ritual I had to perform for something, maybe something, I had some kind of illness, and they told me to bath with this soap, and once I bath with it, I'll feel better. And I did, and I felt much better, and I was healed of that disease or whatever it is. So he wasn't doing it unto evil. But because, as we said, we painted anything that's outside those two main religions as evil, she ran away. She didn't even ask questions, so she could have lost, she could have missed really the love of her life, somebody that she was probably connected with, because she was just too afraid to ask a question about what this is. So is it that we should seek to understand this is all, we have judged it, it's evil, it's not Christian, it's not Muslim, I can't deal?
Human beings judge what they do not understand. And that is why we keep saying, ask the right questions. If you're really invested in this, seek to know, seek to have an understanding. There was a time where once you mention Hindu, Buddhism, everybody's, no. Now, their meditation practice, everybody's practicing. People are going as far as yoga. People are doing as far as Kundalini. People are doing a lot that initially was written off. Yes, was written off because they didn't have an understanding. But when medical science came into it to say, okay, these are benefits, these are this, that, and they traced it back to even in Bible days, people called the names of people who were meditating, and this. People now started accepting because somebody did the work. So there are people that are meant to do the work. So I don't force people to accept or to quickly understand, because everybody has their own level of awareness. And when it's your time, your eyes will be open. But I also would not want to be judged because I'm naturally a seeker who would want to ask the right questions, because that's my path. Some of us are meant to go and seek out and come and tell others. Some are meant to wait till it's brought to them. Some are meant to go and fish out the information and bring it, right?
Some are meant to start it.
Yes, some are meant to start it. So everybody has their path. She ran away because she saw it in a calabash. People collect soap from churches every time. It's not inside calabash. Yes, it's the calabash aspect that,
That's the African part of it.
African part of it.
because we have been demonized that everything Africa is evil. So once you see that calabash, you see the red cloth, you see, hey.
Why do they always have to use
wait,
red
wait
cloth and
now.
black?
Exactly. Collect it inside nylon and inside plastic. Do you know that they say now that these days native doctors carry laptops and wear suits?
Yeah.
They still have customers. People are still going there. But once you come without your red robo and everything, everybody's running because it's the picture that has been painted. So, like I said, there's also something I noticed. The people with the Western religion, I'm sorry, I'm a part of you people, I'm a Christian, are always very fearful. There's so much fear that once it doesn't look like, it doesn't sound like, it does not resemble, everybody is running without standing to say, for Christ's sake, I have the Holy Spirit. I should be able to look at you in the face and say, what is this? What is the meaning of this? But we don't even want the Holy Spirit to keep us there. We are running away.
So, can I ask the fundamental question?
Ask.
Is it safe to fall in love
With
with a fetish person?
Okay, you know, my own would be when you were saying, why did she ask? The thing is, to get to the point where you even ask some questions, there's so many beliefs you have to work on. You have heard curiosity kill the cat. Come and ask questions, come and enter something.
Go and cut your head off. It's your blood.
Yes.
Maybe that calabash is waiting for your
You
blood.
watch a movie, the one that was curious is the one that died.
Yeah.
Why would I ask questions? We have seen people in movie, they open a room, they see red, and then they decide to stay and ask questions. How did that end? But the one that closed the door and took her bag and left survived to live another day.
Let me ask Dabota, in your experience as a beauty queen, I mean, there's got to be people who just felt that they say, I'm going to get this job. After I speak, I'll enter the judges. You know, I'm sure you have probably met somebody or some people who have heard people who have actually used to consult other things just to get that job as a beauty queen, especially.
I've had people like bring ridiculous sort of advice to sustain your relevance and to even become more visible. But then again, I'll still stand on the same point that being fetish is different from being a traditionalist.
Okay, which is what YK was trying to point out.
Yes. So when you see, like the lady that called in, when you see a soap in a calabash, the calabash is a traditional pot. The soap itself has its own maybe organic ingredients. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. However, if someone is fetish, usually there's a spiritual effect to those things that probably can have an adverse or negative effect on the person. So that's probably where the person's fear is coming from. And most people say, oh, when the white people came, they brought religion. How are we sure that is the right way and all of that? Time would keep evolving and we'll keep realizing that there are new ways of living and there are better ways of doing things. I think in the past, a lot of traditional beliefs involved a lot of barbaric acts.
Yes.
So people will say they're traditionalist and the way to deal with conflict or the way to deal with an issue of maybe theft or a woman who gets pregnant out of wedlock or something is to kill, is to sacrifice.
Yes.
So which is why once you say fetish, once they see red cloth, they see black cloth, they see the bush and everything, automatically people are scared. And that's because it was okay for people to practice traditionalism in the way they used to do it, which was somewhat barbaric, highly unreasonable, and just there wasn't really that much ethics to it.
I think there's a good way to...
I love how it's
Can I add something? Even in the Bible, there were also barbaric ways of doing things. The women who committed adultery were stoned to death.
But they were not Christians then. They were not Christians. There was Christ that brought the fact that you should not stone to death.
They had their own, let me not go so deep so I don't get into trouble. But they had their own, they had God, they believed in God. You are not a Christian because you are reading just the New Testament. You have the Old Testament as well. So I'm talking about the Old Testament. They had Jehovah, they believed in God. And they had their barbaric way of doing things. People were punished for, it was when Christ came that he now said, okay, let's use love and all of that. But everything was taught to us at the same time. If you look at history, if you go to the Scottish history, this other country, they all have, even the Western people were burning the people they accused as witches. They stake you, they burn you on the stake. It was barbaric. So we all had, because time was evolving, and we all had one form of barbarism that happened to us at the other. Some people just saw the light faster and then did not tell us their own story, but painted our own bad. So what I get from what you're saying is, once it's against, and that's what we said initially before it came on the table, once you are using it against other people, then it's fetish. But if you have your traditional way of doing things, and that is just your way of worship, then it's not fetish. You're just, it's just different from what we are used to.
All right, I think we've nailed this topic very well, and I'd like us to go on a break. When we come back, we'll come to your interview and get to know more about you. There's a lot of juicy gist about you, because we read somewhere where you said that you regretted being married in 2014, the lessons you've learned, how you've evolved. We'd like to learn everything when we come back after this break. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.